Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Here I am again. This is my 700th time being here. Show number 700. It's been a long journey. I remember show number 1, and how was I going to get through that? And lo and behold, look at this. 2.5 years. More than that. All right, so let's get into our cosmic weather today. Find out what's going on in the world. We're going to start things off over here at spaceweather.com. Solar wind is at 441 kilometers per second. Our planetary K index here is listed as a 2, expected to get no higher than a 3. And then we see our coronal hole here as well, next to nothing. M-class flare forecast is the same as yesterday, 80% chance. 25% chance we can have an X-class flare. Geomagnetic storm activity is relatively low, under 30% in the higher latitudes, and only about 25% it would be active in the mid latitudes. Take a look up here. We got the notice of the high solar activity crackling with M-class solar flares that appear to be on the verge of producing an X-class explosion. All right. So now I want to take you from this site, because this is a good site, good information. However, unfortunately, as it goes, these different systems from time to time will not be fully reporting all of the information. So we want to double check with a variety of different places. So here's another site. This is called mysolaralerts.blogspot.com. And this one has a bit more information. For example, this yesterday, there were 19 solar flares yesterday. You only hear about the 19, at other places. And you can go through here, and there's the times when they went on. Well, this is a story about that particular one, but as we go down, you could see the list of where they came from, the sunspots. There was a number of M-class flares that came off of there. And you can just go through the list and just see more of an accurate accounting of what's going on, how many flares are coming off the sun, and how many are actually being reported by the main agencies that are out there. All right, so I'd encourage you to go check out this site here. It has all of the information like on the other chart, but it's an opportunity for you to go and do a little bit of checking just to see if one system is providing the information like the other system. All right, it's always good to double check to make sure, because for some reason those out there in the scientific community feel that the general population cannot handle the truth if they really knew how much activity was, and so they hide it. But I believe people can handle the truth, right? But people are a lot stronger than given credit for at times. Okay, we're going to look at our astrology. Our astrology for today. Let me slide over here. We can see we're in between. This is the void, of course, moon. We're between Aquarius and Pisces. Now, Pisces is a water sign. Aquarius is an air sign. So we're going to be going from the air to the water. Air to the water. The air sign is communication, words, action. The water is all about emotions, feelings, things of this nature. Love is part of the equation of watery, fits into that category. And then, of course, we've got the water for the conscious mind, the sun, because it's in Cancer for this period of time. So our conscious mind is dealing with water, and the unconscious mind, we're dealing with air and water, trying to find a way to express those feelings. Now, also keep in mind, air does represent the intellect, the mind, and the thinking process. Okay? Whereas the water, the feeling process, is another thing. Well, with air and water going on, you've got the thinking of the air and the feelings of the emotions. And feelings and intellectual processes don't necessarily go together. Okay, they're two separate things. So if there's some sort of confusion and trying to mix what you're thinking with what you're feeling and try to kind of make sense of the two, and there's a little confusion, well, it's just par for the course, because those are two elements that, feelings and thoughts are not necessarily the same. Okay. Now we go over to our moon phase here. We're 90%. We've already dropped down 10% from the full moon, making our way back down to the new moon again. And on our Mayan oracle, we're at the jumping day. It's a 13. 13 tone is called the cosmic tone. So we're here at the 13th position on the wave spell. So we've ended the wave spell. The wave spell theme was the blue hand. The hand is all about accomplishment, healing. We use our hands to heal or to kill. Depends on what we're going to do. We can create with it or we can destroy. So over this last 13 days, culminating through today, we've learned a lot of things. We've built a lot of things. We've understood the process. And now we're getting to take all that wisdom as accumulation of energy here. This is the storm. We're going to have that accumulation of energy, and we're going to jump off to the next idea. The next idea will be a new wave spell of 13 days beginning tomorrow, and it's the next symbol. The next symbol after this is the sun. So the next 13 days, starting tomorrow, will be a 13-day wave spell of the sun, which is all about enlightenment. Just think of the sun shining bright upon you, the light that is shined from it. But we're not there yet. We're here. We've got to take the energy of this storm, and we have to transfer this and move this forward. So that's our challenge of today. Gather all the energy we accumulated these last 12 days, bring it all together, see if we can understand what we've learned through the process of building and how we've learned to avoid doing things that are killing, and how we move forward with those energies. So we've got right in the middle, we've got the storm, we've got the guide above it, which is the night, and then we've got the tone. So 13 storm guided by the night, with supporting cast members being the moon, the sun, and the wind. So today's phrase is, I endure in order to catalyze transcending energy. I seal the matrix of self-generation with the cosmic tone of presence. I am guided by the power of abundance. And today is one of those galactic activation portal days. So just to refresh your memory on what that is, we are right here. And you can see that we are 2 rows over, or excuse me, 2 columns over, 2 rows up. So since we're at a 2 and a 2, this position here is a meeting of these two energies, just like the one right here and this one, and the 3rd column over and the 3rd row up, 4th and the 4th, 5th and 5th, 6th and 6th, and the 7th becomes this whole other category on its own. And then down here we start going backwards: 6 and 6, 5 and 5, 4 and 4, 3 and 3, 2 and 2, 1 and 1. Okay, this side here, these first 6 rows are a mirror of these last 6 rows. And the middle point here, this middle column, is the middle column where everything kind of revolves around it. It's a void, period, vortex. It's that center point that everything revolves around it. Okay? So there you have it. That is where we're at today. And today, as I said, it is the 6th of July, 2012. All right, first story we're going to get to today is, all right, you may have heard this. Chris Rock and his comment about 4th of July and white people holiday and yada, yada, yada. I was going to make some comments about this, but I found this really cool video up here, and this is Pastor James David Manning. I think he's probably going to do a better job of it, simply because, well, the color of my skin might get me in more trouble with some of the things I might say, whereas he will be much more eloquent about the process. So here we go. Let's listen to what James David Manning has to say on this whole matter.
Chris Rock. Yes, it was 4th of July. In the event you listen to this 5 years from now. Chris Rock sent out a tweet on yesterday saying, Happy White People's Independence Day. Chris Rock, the comedian, right? Now, Chris Rock was the point man when the Long-Legged Mac Daddy came during the 2008 campaign at the Apollo Theater. He was the MC, Master of Ceremonies. And Chris Rock, on an ABC interview going back a couple of weeks now, stated Obama is not a black president, but he's a zebra. He's a black and a white president, and he's got a white side, a very prominent white side. Now, Chris Rock makes a lot of money. America has been, in terms of him making money, has been good to him. Both black people and white people have purchased his movies and paid to hear him, in his comedian, his stand-up acts. He's had access to all media, all news, access to Hollywood. He was even allowed to be the MC at the Oscars. Remember that? He flopped. He did a poor job at doing it. But that's pretty big for your colleagues to let you be the master of ceremony at the Oscars. That's about as good as it gets for an actor, an entertainer. And Chris is not a good actor. He's funny. I give him that. Robitussin. I mean, he's funny. But he ain't hardly no actor. But the Academy gave him the highest honor in the industry, Master of Ceremony, at one of the events. But now he says of America that the 4th of July is for white people. And all you black people, it ain't for us or for them. It ain't us business. Pardon me. The 4th of July, here's a man who's made all this money in white America. And by the way, I've said this, black people get ticked off, and white people too. I said this, that black people don't have any honor. I put it up, a posting a couple of weeks ago saying that Chris Rock didn't have any honor. You remember it, right? Okay. I continue to say that black people don't have any honor. Now here, just look at this for just a second. Here's a man that America has been really, really good to him. He's extremely wealthy. He's made millions of dollars. He can do pretty much what he wants to do in terms of, where he wants to live. And the doors have been open for him. If Chris Rock was born in Nigeria, you wouldn't know anything about it. He'd be barefoot and hungry, pot-belly, if he was in Nigeria, among all black people, or in Haiti for that matter. Yeah, let's let Chris Rock be born in Haiti. What do you think he'd be doing there? You think you know anything about it? You think he would be making $100 million a year in Haiti, or Nigeria, or South Africa, or in Liberia? Do you think he'd be making any kind of money? I doubt if he'd be making $100 a week if he lived in Haiti or Nigeria. But here he is making $100 million a year, and he got an attitude in America. An honorable man wouldn't do that. But Chris Rock has no honor. Black people don't have any honor. They don't have any honor. Here, so here's his. He said, whoa, the white man had the black man in slavery, brought him over here, captured him, and the captain took the kidney and put a rope around his neck and brought him over here and kept him in slavery 200 years, and then the Ku Klux Klan and all that kind of thing. That's what America done. America been doing that all over the world. Yeah, that's what the world, black man, so the black man ain't got no, 4th of July ain't got nothing to do with the black man. Black man ain't got nothing to do with the 4th of July. That's the argument. So, all right, okay. All right. So now, all this slavery business, yet the white man has turned around and allowed you to make $100 million a year, allowed all your friends to make big money, got you riding around in Rolls Royces now, and you don't think the honorable thing to do is to say, yes, slavery was wrong, but this is both our nation. God has allowed me to prosper and allowed my kind to prosper, so we ought to honor the 4th of July. Don't you think that would be the reason? Well, I'll tell you what. Here, since you don't believe that all that money you're earning has been given as a result of white people, even though there was slavery, that they have repented for that. Why don't you give all the money back? Why don't you give all that money back to the give all these white people that money back? And since I have in slavery, give all that white people, give them all that money back. Get that white money back. And go to Nigeria. Or go to Haiti. Let me ask you a question, Chris Rock. Let me ask you a question, homie. Will you leave America since you don't want to celebrate the 4th of July, since this ain't your nation? Are you willing to leave America and move anywhere? I don't care. Move to Switzerland. Are you willing to leave America? You ain't going nowhere because niggas ain't had it as good as they got it in America. I don't care how bad slavery was. Niggas got it good in America. And you ain't leaving. And I know you're not leaving. You're just talking that talk. And you're talking that talk because you ain't got no honor. You ain't got no honor. You ain't got no honor. Black people don't have no honor. Because a decent black man would say, yeah, well, you know, slavery was wrong. You know, it was wrong. Sure enough, ain't no doubt about it. But America has turned around and repented. America fought the Civil War. 600,000 died and millions remained. America repented to undo slavery. They've turned around and created legislation to try to make up for the things that they did against the black man. And they allowed me, you, Chris Rock, to make $100 million a year. You ain't no slave no more. Somebody had to let you do it. Don't you think the honorable thing to do would be to say, thank you, America, and I want to celebrate the 4th of July as well? Don't you think that was, I mean, you know, you can't make that kind of money nowhere, Chris Rock. Can't make that kind of money. And then, you know, all your friends are making that kind of money. But see, you don't understand that because you ain't got no honor. And Chris, if you don't mind my saying so, 99.9% of the jokes that you have told and the money you have made, you made it by demeaning black folk. What was that movie? You've made several movies, but everything that you've ever said is demeaning of black folk. You told jokes about black folk, how black folk live, how black men are, how they curse, having sex. Everything you've ever done, you pimped the black people, you pimped the black neighborhood. You ain't never told a joke simply about white folk, unless it related to black folk. So you made your money putting black folk in slavery. You made your money pimping black folk, because you know people laugh at the traditions of black people because it's stupid, the things that black folk do. And you just sat there and told it pretty much as a historical fact and have made millions of dollars pointing up the inadequacies, the ignorance, the buffoonery, and the foolishness of black people. The jokes you tell, a white man couldn't tell them. So who's the real slave master here, Chris? Who's the real slave? Who's the real pimp of black people? Who's the real pimp? Who's the one? Where'd you get that $100 million from every year? You and your rap partners, Jay-Z, pimping black people, telling jokes about black people, singing songs about black people. You're pimping black people. Jay-Z don't make songs about white folk. He makes songs about the hood. Pimping. You ain't nothing but a high-class pimp. All of y'all. And that Beyonce ain't nothing but a high-class hoe. Ain't nobody doubt about it, and everybody knows it. If you had honor, you wouldn't be doing this. You wouldn't be, if you had any honor, you'd be trying to uplift. But you done pimp the black community, pimp black children, pimp black women. In fact, you made a movie about black hair. Ain't you nothing with your pimping self? Talking about nappy black hair. Black women got a problem with their nappy hair. They curl it, they fry it, they smell it, they do all. And you made millions of dollars pimping black women's hair, taking advantage of the fact that black women's hair ain't like white women's hair. That black women dream all day long to have hair like the white woman. You made millions of dollars pimping black women and their hair. You ain't nothing but a pimp. You and all the other black comedians, you ain't got no honor. You're nothing but pimps of poor, ignorant, dumb, stupid black people. At least the white man didn't pimp you the way niggas pimp one another. You ain't nothing but a nigga pimp, Chris Rock. It's all y'all. Now, I celebrate the 4th of July. I thank God that America is America. I'm going to keep on celebrating. You pimps, everybody from Barack Obama, Chris Rock, Jay-Z, you're nothing but pimps and hoes. So, I'm through. I'm through.
All right. So
7 days a week.
As you can imagine, that wouldn't have come out so well if I was the one to say all of that. But he sums it up really well. And just one last thought: my history might be a little bit fuzzy, but if I was to look back and we were to see how the blacks came over to America, wasn't it black slave traders who went and got the blacks and brought them over here first? So white man didn't really have anything to do with that at first. My history may be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but seems to me that that was the case. So there's a lot of racist attitude going on in this whole nonsense. That's not necessary to be there. And Chris Rock, chill out, dude. You're making some jokes, and you don't need to be making all these kind of jokes like that, because they're just past the point of being funny. Now they're just sounding ignorant. Don't sound ignorant. You've done pretty good in this country, so be happy with that. I'll be back. UFO news next.
This is the UFO news with Joshua Poet.
All right, UFO news. I've got 5 stories today. I'll line them up for you here. Okay, story number 1. Fast UFO flying over Kazakhstan on the 3rd of July. All right, unknown bright object. Let's check it out. There we go. We've seen that all too many times there. That bright light in the sky. A little reddish orange color. All right. It continues past the trees, and they pick it up again right here. There it is. All right. Something more and more people are seeing these days are the flying saucers. All right, next one here. On the 5th, we go over to the UK and Wolverhampton, West Midlands. This bright unknown object was recorded in the night sky about Wolverhampton. All right, let's take a look here. All right, it says UFO and weird clouds. Well, this actually went back to May. Okay, he's having a cig out the window. We noticed this. All right, what do we got here? There we go. All right. It's in the UK. Very interesting indeed. All right, we've seen this many a times. And moving on. Next sighting, South Korea. This was, looks like a whole armada flying over here.
비행물체 UFO가 나타났다는 논란이 일고 있습니다. 이 수십 개의 불빛이 마치 줄을 지은 듯 떠가는 모습이 비교적 선명하게 잡혔는데 의견이 분분합니다. 조형찬 기자가 보도합니다.
지난 11일 밤 대전 도심 주택가에서 휴대전화로 촬영한 화면입니다. 밤하늘에서 매우 밝은 빛을 내는 물체가 한쪽 방향으로 무리지어 이동합니다. 선두를 따라 북동쪽 하늘로 이동하는 물체 가운데 일부는 대형을 이룬 듯합니다. 회전하는 듯한 모습과 빛을 뿜어내는 듯한 모습도 보입니다.
구름 사이로 되게 밝은 빛이 한쪽 구석만 있는 거예요. 그래서 이상하다, 되게 신기하다 이러고서는 먹는데 그러고 나서 한 30분 정도 있다가 그게 막 이렇게 날아가기 시작하더라고요.
목격자들은 빛을 내는 미확인 비행 물체가 30개가량 됐다고 말했습니다.
이렇게 한밤중에 자체적으로 이렇게 빛을 상당히 밝게 내면서 이렇게 이동한 UFO는 우리나라에서 처음 찍힌 것 같습니다.
촬영 당시 대전 상공에선 공군의 비행 훈련도 없었고 레이더망에 특이한 물체도 포착되지 않았습니다.
비행을 하나 하죠, 보통.
아, 레이더에도 안 잡혔단 말씀이신 거죠?
저희 레이더에는 어떤 성적도 잡히지 않았어요.
한국사진작가협회는 영상 조작 가능성은 거의 없지만 도심 빛을 받은 새떼일 수도 있다고 밝혔습니다. 일각에서는 기름종이에 불을 붙여 하늘로 띄우는 풍등일 가능성도 제기했습니다. 지난 2005년과 2008년 서울 광화문에서도 미확인 비행 물체가 목격되는 등 UFO 논란이 끊이지 않고 있습니다. MBC 뉴스 조형찬입니다.
All right, that's pretty fascinating. Big size armada there, or maybe even several large ships amongst the mix. But good capture. All right, this one here was from the 4th of July during a fireworks display. See the UFO right over here. A little close up on it. All right, Orchard Park, New York. One of 3 videos I shot during the 4th of July fireworks. In Orchard Park, at least 4 adult, 2 teen, 3 adult testify seeing a UFO. The teens saw it at the school where most people were sitting watching the fireworks. All right, let's get to the images here. All right, first one, there we go. We got it to the left of the fireworks. You see it up there? Okay. There you go, see? Aliens like fireworks too. And just get a little better view of it right there. All right, and let's look at this one here. There's the object again, just hanging out. Okay. So, you see, folks, if this craft wanted to attack, believe me, it wouldn't just be hanging out there so people could take pictures of it. It would be attacking. There would be whole armadas attacking. Okay? The element of surprise is lost. Once you show yourself, then the element of surprise is gone. So, they're not trying to surprise us. This is not an alien attack that's about to occur. They're showing themselves to show that they are not here to harm humankind. They're not here to harm the earthlings. That is, the evil administrators down here on the earth that are getting you to believe that they are out there to harm, so you can join in helping to harm them with them. The idea is don't shoot at the aliens, because they're not the bad guys. The bad guys are the ones down here. That's right. You know who they are. They're part of your governments and your administrations. All right. This is a good story here. There's a video. I'm not going to play the video. I'm going to leave that for you, but I'm going to read the story. It asks a good question. What are aliens and UFOs? Well, there are many theories regarding what is variously referred to as aliens, extraterrestrial, UFO, flying saucers, etc. What is of interest is that there have been a point of convergence of sorts which has come about. This has occurred by people with very different theories, somehow ending up with a theory of everything, as it were, pertaining to this particular topic. In essence, there are 3 main categories into which all theories can be broken down: extraterrestrial aliens, demons, and the human government. In essence, these categories can succinctly be defined as follows. Extraterrestrials, just that. Aliens from other part of the universe, regardless of how near or far. Demons is a reference to disembodied malevolent beings which seek to delude, confuse, and control people via disguise as benevolent and or malevolent extraterrestrial aliens. Human government, high-tech projects, experiments which are behind literal UFOs, meaning literally unidentified flying objects that are flying but are not identified with no further connotation. With this last point, we begin to see how these 3 main theories begin to meld into one, and 3 and 1 get tied together. They are subcategories each under these. So let us consider some of these. Of course, the subcategories also break down into more and more and more, and yet this would take us into the very many theories, whereas our purpose is to get the one which seems to bind them all. Extraterrestrial aliens are said to be from various places in the universe, to have been visiting Earth for millennia. The claim is there have been various species which have been doing this, from the Greys to the reptilians, and to the Bigfoot to the humanoids, who just look like the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Scandinavians. These various species can either be benevolent or both. Demons are meant to convey the fallen angels referenced in the Bible, yet sadly, in our pseudo-syncretic world, some would say that the term demons, angels, aliens, higher beings, ascended masters are interchangeable terms which simply get confused occasionally, and yet these terms are not interchangeable. For example, a disembodied angel who's created by Yahweh and rebelled is nothing like the physical being who was born and grew up in another sector of the universe. In any case, some claim that benevolent aliens have been mistaken as demons. Some claim that benevolent aliens are mistaken as angels or gods. Some that gods are mistaken as aliens, and on it goes. All right, there's a lot more to the article, really getting into it. It brings up good questions to ask. Good questions to ask. Here's one just to think. A lot of people want to know, well, what do the aliens look like? There's a variety of types. But for the beings down here on Earth, remember the literature, the Bible that talks about this, talks about the Elohim and how humankind was created in the image of the gods, not the other way around. So all you need to do is look in the mirror, look at what you look like, and in that regard, you will understand what the aliens, what the beings that created you looked like, because you are created in their image, not the other way around. All right, there you go. That's our UFO news for today. I'm going to jump away momentarily. I'll be back. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Wake up, wake up, wake up. All right, continuing on. All right, Guantanamo Bay is the next story up. This comes to us from RT.
Now, the Pentagon will reportedly pour a major sum into a new infrastructure for its military base at Guantanamo Bay. The U.S. government repeatedly pledged to put an end to the controversial detention facility that's based at the site and used to hold terror suspects. RT's Guynet Chichiken has more.
$40 million will be spent to lay out this underwater fiber optic cable from South Florida to Cuba, where the Guantanamo Bay prison camp is located. The base commander said it only makes sense if we're going to be here for any period of time. An infrastructure project like that may well suggest that the U.S. military is preparing for detentions and other operations at the Guantanamo base for the long term. When President Obama was first running for office, he pledged to shut down Guantanamo in very strong terms. In 2009, he even signed an executive order to close it. But not only did he not shut it down, but the U.S. is obviously renovating Guantanamo, in this case by improving communications. And the argument is you don't make such an investment to pick up and leave. Guantanamo has made a black hole in America's human rights record. Indefinite detention, torture. Around 800 people went through the camp within the last decade of America's war on terror. The majority of them had nothing to do with 9/11. That's according to a former chief prosecutor at Guantanamo. Now the prison houses 169 detainees. The government says 89 aren't a threat, but President Obama and Congress have blocked their release. As for the rest, some of them have a shot at a military hearing, but 46 don't have that chance because the government says they can't be tried for one reason or another. The U.S. Supreme Court keeps refusing to take up Guantanamo detainees' petitions. What has been striking to many was that the U.S. prides itself on the rule of law and human rights, but at the same time has denied due legal process to these detainees, practiced torture, and not just in Guantanamo, but in secret prisons around the world. Human rights organizations have issued reports on all kinds of violations, but to the U.S., it's been like water off a duck's back.
U.S. lawyer and attorney Eric Montalva, who's represented some of the detainees at Guantanamo, believes the American leadership is totally failing to practice what it preaches.
You're saying one thing and doing the complete opposite. On one hand, we're closing the base, but on the other hand, we're crafting one of the state-of-the-art penal institutions in the United States. There's a big disconnect between the Justice Department, between Homeland Security, between the President of the United States and our foreign policy. And I think we need to evaluate, why we're spending millions upon millions of dollars on something that should not even be there in the first place.
All right. So in 2005, I had the opportunity to travel as part of the USO tours to Guantanamo Bay. I went there 4 times. And we had to go through, a variety of clearance to get there. And when we got on the way out there on, I forget which one of the trips, but they would talk about how Guantanamo Bay was scaling down and how they weren't doing any more construction. And there was this talk that was going on about the base starting to close down. Well, sure enough, when I got out there, what did we see? We saw Halliburton building. And it was kind of confusing because it was like, well, wait a minute. The reports that Fox was giving was that Guantanamo Bay is scaling down and Halliburton is pulling out, and now there they are building. And then I had a chance to talk to some of the troops that were out there, members of the Joint Task Force and others on the base. A couple of them pulled me aside and said, don't listen to the news. They said, because you see what's going on here? This isn't what they're telling you on the news, is it? And I said, no, it's the opposite. And they said, of course. Don't listen to the news because they're not being honest with what's going on over here. Just you see with your own eyes. So that's pretty much par for the course of what I understood about what's going on over there and has gone over there and will continue. So you can't believe their truths. You can't believe their lies. You just know that whatever they're saying, they have their own agenda on why they feel they need to be secret. And don't expect to know the truth because you're not going to. You think you may, but they're going to keep secret whatever, and they're going to tell whatever, and they're going to do whatever. So, all right, now we're going to jump over here to the TSA. TSA explains bizarre new policy, testing drinks purchased in airports. How about that? The TSA has attempted to explain a bizarre expansion of its powers inside airports as part of a move to employ unpredictable measures to snare would-be criminals or terrorists. Yesterday, we reported on the fact that the federal agency is now demanding the right to test drinks purchased by passengers after they've already passed through airport security. Many passengers have recently complained that TSA agents have approached them randomly after they pass through checkpoints and have demanded to run tests on the drinks they have purchased inside the secure gate area without explaining what they were testing for. Travelers interviewed by the news channel KJCT8 condemned the rules as ridiculous and extreme, noting that the practice is pointless given that the beverages are delivered securely to the airport in the first place and have already passed through security checks. Now, in a blog post, the TSA website spokesperson, blogger Bob Burns, said the practice is nothing new and is part of the agency's remit for creating unpredictability into layers of security already in place. So the most popular question that comes up with this topic is, isn't this redundant? Writes Burns, on the surface it does seem that way, and the first logical thought that many have. However, any security expert will tell you that nothing is 100% secure, so gate screening is kind of like our security. All right, yada, yada, yada. So basically what they're telling you is you're going to go through their TSA security, you're going to go through into one of the restaurants or the fast food areas there at the airport that is beyond the secure area. You're going to purchase something there that should have been checked before it even got to that point. And then after you purchase it, they're going to want to double check it just to make sure that somebody working for that fast food restaurant there didn't actually slip up some kind of Mickey in your drink. Think about that. That makes no sense. The TSA, you're just a worthless organization and you're just coming up with other ways to terrorize people. Guess what, TSA? You are the terrorist. And you got the T right in the first letter. Terrorist. Terrorist agency is what you are. All right? So leave us alone, TSA. Leave us alone. Next up here. This is reality check. Ben Swan. It's always good to get a dose of reality from what's going on and what he has to say. This is about the contributions. Let's listen to this.
Thank you, Steve. Well, there is no question that big money is being spent during the current election cycle. Tens of millions of dollars are being racked up by both President Obama and his likely challenger, Governor Mitt Romney. So who are the biggest contributors so far this season? Ben is taking a look in tonight's reality check.
The analysis from these donations comes from 24/7 Wall Street. The group looked at the biggest donors thus far, how much they're contributing, who they're giving it to, and in addition, how much these same donors are spending on lobbying efforts. Tonight, we're going to take a look at the top 5. The number 1 donor so far this year is the Las Vegas Sands. Nearly $12 million donated, and 100% of it to the Republican Party. $10 million of it comes by way from the Sands CEO, Sheldon Adelson. Adelson is the billionaire who spent $5 million keeping Newt Gingrich's campaign alive when it was on life support. Most of his money is being given to political action committees that support Republican candidates, not directly to the candidates. Number 2, a name you know well, Goldman Sachs. The banking giant has donated nearly $5 million this season, but has long been in the political donation business. No financial company has contributed as much money or as consistently as Goldman Sachs, which has given $39 million since 1989. This time around, 71% of donations are going to Mitt Romney. But in 2008, Goldman Sachs was the second biggest contributor to President Obama's campaign. Just this year, the company has spent over $1.3 million on lobbying efforts. So how is all this influence peddling working out for them? Pretty well, if you consider that Goldman Sachs received $10 billion in taxpayer bailout money in October of 2008. Number 3 on this year's list, cable company Comcast, which now owns NBC, climbing up to nearly $3 million in 2012. Their contributions are a combination of employee contributions along with political action funds. Yes, Comcast has its own PAC. But notice that aside from the contributions to the presidential race, Comcast has spent substantially more on its lobbying efforts this year. 3 times in the past 12 years, Comcast has been one of the largest corporate political donors in the country. Number 4 on this year's list is AT&T. Already in this cycle, the telecom giant has poured $2.5 million into the campaigns, 65% going to Republicans. Of course, that total number pales in comparison to the whopping $7 million the company has spent on lobbying efforts just in 2012. That number, by the way, the largest of any publicly traded company. Finally, the 5th largest political contributor this season is kind of a surprise, DreamWorks Animation. The total amount donated $2.3 million, 99% of those donations to the Democrat Party. It's a bit surprising because DreamWorks Animation is a relatively small business with just about 2,100 full-time employees and a $1.6 billion market capitalization. Most of the movie production company's contributions, $2.1 million, which is about 90% of the donations, support outside spending groups, including PACs, instead of the individual campaigns. But in reality, when you break down those numbers, almost all of the support is from the CEO, Jeffrey Katzenberg, who became one of the largest donors in the country after giving $2 million to Priorities USA Action. It's an organized committee committed to the re-election of President Obama. So what you need to know is that both the Republican and the Democrat parties are in a mad rush to outspend each other on this campaign. But you already knew that. Both sides will accept massive amounts of money, in some cases, from the same donors, with those donors fully aware that the money they spend will buy them influence. But you already knew that too. And of course, all that lobbying money is meant to buy influence from representatives and the senators who are elected to actually represent the people, not special interests. And you knew that as well. So maybe what you need to know is what you already know, that as Mark Twain once said, we have the best government that money can buy. And that is Reality Check.
All right, very good. All right, DreamWorks, Katzenberg, no surprise, right? We see all that Hollywood pumps the propaganda for the president, so big surprise there. All right, here's a little news clip here. It's 2 minutes of news. It's going to deal with more weather-related information, stuff that is important. Here we go.
Good morning, folks. Not sure if you heard, but Weather Channel bought Weather Underground. Underground, no more. Nature crossed off tornado, flood, heat, and tropical storm records already, so why not drought? More records falling in 2012. Something a little different whether you buy the sanctions and foreign policy display or you believe it's all just propaganda and the elites leading the minds of the sheeple. Both roads lead to a scary place here. A 5-pointer in the Alaskan mainland is worth reporting. About an hour later, we had global L waves registered near the bottom of each of these charts. It's most likely caused by the 6.3 in Vanuatu, which was later downgraded to a 5.9, or maybe it was even the smaller polar region quake north of Norway. We have seen these moderate quakes produce global signatures when they are this far north, and we have activity rising on the American subduction zone. This must be an error. For those who forget big blue circles are cosmic ray surplus, this suggests we should be literally swimming in them. This cannot be right, I hope. Solar wind, the speed is on top, density below. When you see enduring high speed, that's a coronal hole, but these short-lived speed spikes followed by increased density are perfect CME signatures. Small ones here only, but CMEs nonetheless. As they were small, not major geomagnetic disturbance detected, although with the electrons currently plummeting, I imagine something may be brewing as I make this video. We just had the 19th M flare pop off, an M1 from departing sunspot 11515, but we also see that megaspot concoction turning in. Unfortunately, the best full images are not updating right now, but we do have enough to tell she's a bad one. Have a look at some of the ejecta coming out of 11515. Goodbye to this active region. On the southeast, we have a coronal hole flanked by plasma filaments, 3 threats all lined up in a row. Up north, you see another coronal hole that may or may not affect Earth, and here she comes. That's the news, folks. Eyes open. Be safe.
Alright, quick little dose of news there. Good stuff to know what's going on out there with the sun. Alright, one of the stories that you've heard is the possibility that there could be some computer issues coming up on the 9th. That would be Monday. So, in that regard, I've got for you a couple of links, malware links, because it's a malware issue there that is being claimed to be a problem. Malwarebytes.org. Okay, you can go there. That's a good site. You can download. You can get a free malware scanner. They're very good. You also have this site Combofix. Now, Combofix is a little bit more heavy-duty software. Read the directions if you're going to use it. If your computer is infected with some stuff, these softwares here will help to get that off. I do a lot of work with computers. I know about these softwares because I've used them myself quite frequently. So if you feel that there's any malware issues going on with your computer or any slowness that's going on and you're concerned about this upcoming malware issue on the 9th that may come to a head, check out these scanners. There's other ones out there. There's CC Cleaners, another one that's out there, pretty good. This AVG, which you could see right here, it's a free antivirus. They provide good antivirus protection. Avira is another one. But check it out. Don't be caught in the dark with all the problems, because there's ways to definitely clear off the issues going on. All right. Now I'm going to jump to one. There's another story here. Actually, let me jump up to this one here. This is teleportation. You've heard the story about Obama, how he participated in a teleportation program. Andrew Basiago talks about this, Project Pegasus. Well, Obama participated in CIA jump room program, says third whistleblower. DARPA transportation program Pegasus, Andrew Basiago, got a link to him. CERN scientists. Okay, anyway. Now in the latest development, a third whistleblower has confirmed that U.S. President Barack H. Obama was a participant in the CIA's teleportation jump room program of the early 80s. Bernard Mendez made this allegation during a seminar held in Vancouver, British Columbia on June 1st under the auspices of BC-based exouniversity.org. During the seminar, Mr. Mendez stated that he, Mr. Obama, former DARPA Director Regina E. Dugan, Andrew D. Basiago, and William B. Stillings attended a jump room training class taught by Major Ed Dames at College of the Sisiukios in the summer of 1980. Bernard Mendez also stated that he teleported with Mr. Obama and Mr. Basiago in jumps that took place from 81 through 83 when Obama and Basiago were college students. more to the article talking about that program. It's very fascinating on what went on with this. Go ahead and read through. All right. Now, let's turn our attention here towards the Olympics. Okay, yesterday I said some things and I want a little bit more further information on it. First thing I want to show you, this is missile installations added at Olympics to protect the general populace. Term security has come a long way since I was a kid. Generally speaking, when one thinks of security at an event such as a football game or rock concert, an image of a few steroid-headed rent-a-cops comes to mind. In 2012, the term security has been beefed up as rent-a-cops are similarly no longer enough to protect the general populace from the evil Al-Qaeda terrorists that lurk around every corner. Take the London Olympics, for example, where they are deploying surface-to-air missiles batteries at 6 locations in the best interest of the general public. This according to local government. All right, so we've got plans for something out there. They're worried about Al-Qaeda, and as we know, Al-Qaeda is really code word for CIA. So we've got some covert stuff going on over there, right? And I showed you yesterday this image of what appears to be part of the Olympic stage. And on this stage, we've got some strange things, from the black-clad figure here to this obelisk / tower here. There does seem to be some inscriptions on the bottom of this obelisk part here at the bottom, the pillar part, or the bottom part. Some really weird things come to mind, okay? Now, there are those who say, oh, don't be an idiot, Josh. You know, they're going to paint this character, so he's really not going to be a black character, you know, with a black cape. He's really going to be something else. Or, oh, they'll end up painting this. You know what? There's one thing I can tell you. If anybody out there has spent any time whatsoever studying anything about how ritual works, ritual magic, ritual practices, you would understand that there's something ritualistic at place here. And yes, maybe they're going to paint this character, but sometimes it's not about the outside, but what's the underneath. That is what counts. The general population, if they paint this, isn't going to see the black-clad magician. But the ones who created it would know. Now, do I believe that this gentleman here, Danny, is actually, you know, he's the same one who directed, Danny Boyle, the same one who directed Slumdogs Millionaire. Do I believe that he is out there creating a satanic ritual? No. But there are factions out there that have agendas that are not for the best interest, and they find ways to utilize events like this to push different agendas. Okay? So then we go from here, and then again, I'm going to bring this up. There was a special mention about children. There's 10 of them listed here that were born on the 20th of December, 2004. They're going to be 7 years, 7 months, 7 days old on the opening ceremony. Okay? And it goes on to talk about how there was a special deal, and they met with the Olympic mascot Wenlock, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Again, if anybody has spent any time doing anything with rituals, ritual magic, if you studied anything there, you know that this type of stuff isn't just random. Somebody thought about this and put this together for some certain effect, whatever the case may be. Now, 777 is the number that comes up with these kids, and you could say, oh, well, 777 is a good thing. It's a number that is associated with God, associated with the book of Revelation, 7 churches, 7 angels, 7 candlesticks. 7 is a good number. However, one thing that does go on with energies in the universe and those trying to capture and use energies is they will use energies intended for good to try to capture them, to put some sort of dark spin on them. If you were to go and do a Google 777, you'll find information, like I'm saying, about God and the relation of 7 sevens from the God. What you will also find is a relation to a book that was written by Aleister Crowley, 777. Aleister Crowley was not a bad person, but he got into some bad, dark, satanic practices. And in those practices, black magic is a term that is used. So now we have a connection with the 777 because 3 children born are going to be 777. We look up 77. We find it has a relation to a black magician, Aleister Crowley. And then we look at the stage at Olympic Stadium and there is a black magician on that stage. I'm not making this stuff up. Maybe I'm just way too paranoid about something. But I just look at this and says there has to be some sort of connection between all of these things. So on that particular day, I think it's important that we around the world take time out to send positive energy to what's going on, to contradict any possible dark energies that are being pushed through the vehicle of these Olympic Games. Sounds far out there, but what's the flip side? To sit back and do nothing and then find out later that there was some dark ritual that went on and the energy's been released in the world? You want to be on that side of the coin and say, oh, if I could have done something then? Or wouldn't you rather be, just as a precaution, doing some prayers and put out some positive light just in the event that there is someone doing a dark ritual? That's what I think is important. Now, the ritual is on the 27th, the ceremony. The 27th, that's the day when these children are going to be 7 years, 7 months, 7 days old. Maybe nothing to this, but it just seems like there's a lot of elements here which are certainly tied to ritualistic behavior and certainly shows that somebody put some sort of thought into the particular events that are taking place. 777 in and of itself about God is good, but if this was an event that was a God-based event and that God was somehow going to talk to the people, I don't believe it's going to happen just through the Olympic Games. I believe that God can reach out and talk to everybody and anybody at any given time, and it doesn't have to be something specific to the Olympic Games. So because I see it related to there, and because man is involved with creating that, that is where I see that this is not about God. This is something else. Tie in the extraterrestrial stories that are coming out that there could be some sort of sighting or this could attract things. And you got the Olympic Stadium with the UFO lights and the swimming pool and on and on and on. All the things that I've pointed out and you can find out there. Something's going on a little bit more than meets the eye. All I'm saying is we need to pay attention. Let's look into this and let's understand rather than just be clueless and have somebody out there running some dark practices. All right? So I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm not going to care if somebody thinks I'm an idiot or doesn't believe what I'm saying because I'm not going to be the guy that's going to look back and say, oh, if only I had done something to put out some positive energy when they were doing that. So I'm just going to do it. And I ask you to join me. And if you don't believe me, then do whatever you're going to do. Doesn't matter. All right. 2 more things real quick here. This is, it's called the Shard Light Show. This is something that they got going on out there in the London, and you could see there was some strange light up in the sky that came through. And again, this is a pyramid shining the light. Just another one of the things showing that there's something going on over in London. I think I've said enough. You can just follow up on it, right? All right, very last thing here before we meditate. This comes to us from in5D, in5D.com. Did you feel the green wave? Did you feel the green wave? We are confirming a super concentrated high vibrational light wave is building on the surface of Gaia. This standing light wave is a beautiful green glow as seen from above and started rising in the hours of July 3rd and will continue to rise through the evening, peaking at 11:11 on the morning of the 4th of July to the highest levels known in history, causing the largest creation manifestation ever observed on Gaia. Now, you may have felt this as a wave in your body, magnetic field. As the 12 strands of DNA respond to the light pressure wave, your DNA is becoming super activated as it finishes connecting with the 12 chakras in and around the body. As the body becomes lighter, or Merkaba, you will experience the physical sensations of the light bath, causing high levels of endorphins and adrenaline to be released. So what does all this mean? what this means is the things that we've been talking about on this show of these are times where the cosmos is providing us with lots of energetic bursts. It's coming to us from the stars, from the planets, from the ways in which the alignments are occurring. And with these energies being released, we, down here on Earth, are all receptors of this energy. We take it in through our chakras, our system is adjusted, and during this time there are adjustments that are being made to our DNA, and adjustments being made to our consciousness, adjustments being made all around on this planet as part of this shift that is taking place. 2012 is a big shift this year. There's a lot already going on. Maybe not out in the physical way that people are expecting it, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. You can see how people are changing their attitudes, awakening to the corruptions in the world, paying a little bit more attention. That's part of this big shift, okay? It's going to continue to accelerate. The more that you can get in sync with feeling that energy and getting in tune with it, the more you're going to feel it, and the more you're going to be able to understand how it is changing you for the better. All right? Something to contemplate. That being said, let us move on over to our meditation, close things out for the day. So, let's start off by imagining that we are walking down a set of stairs. And as we walk down this set of stairs, we are slowly taking ourselves deeper from our conscious mind into our unconscious mind. First step down, we feel ourselves sinking a little bit lower into our unconscious. We take another step down, we feel ourselves moving even more down into the unconscious mind, and finally a little bit further. And at the bottom stair, we reach a door. We open the door and we enter this space, this large space within our unconscious, a room of creation where we sit and we observe the nothingness all around. But in the nothingness, we feel the everything. And we know that all things exist at every moment, that we are products of the past, the future, residing here in this present moment. And as we sit in contemplation, experiencing what is part of our unconscious, we learn that we have a lot of information ready to share into the world, and that the only thing that keeps us from sharing this information are doubts and fears that get in our way. These doubts and fears, they only create illusions. They do not actually block the way. So as we imagine a light rain falling upon us, we imagine all of these doubts and these fears being washed away. And as they wash away, they are replaced with hopes. They're replaced with love. And we find a renewed sense of faith in ourselves, in our brothers and sisters, and in everyone around the planet. For we know that we are all in this together. So we get up from where we are and we leave this space. And we find ourselves walking in a field, observing the sky, the birds that are flying, the sun shining, a nice gentle breeze. And we feel at peace and one with everything around us. And we understand that this is the feeling that comes from allowing ourselves to release the fears and replace them with love. to let go of the doubts and stand strong in our faith. And as we understand, we stand even stronger in faith and are filled with even more love. And with that, let's take and send this faith and this love around the planet, because we have so much to share, so that others can also benefit from this love and this faith as well. And imagine sending it out, and imagine others feeling this, and imagine the feeling you get as you're feeling the love and faith being sent from others as well. And you realize that we are all in this together. And as you hold that thought of oneness, of faith, of love, let us bring our energy and attention back to the present moment. We'll do so on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. And there you have it. That is our meditation for today. That is our show for the week. I'll be back on Monday with more news information. I really appreciate you being here, checking out the show, listening to the ramblings that are coming out of my mouth. And you have a great weekend. Have a great weekend. There's lots of great information online. Go do some Googling. See what's going out there. Do some fact checking what the news is saying. Really bring these truths of the world forward, because it's up to us. We're the ones who are going to share the truths. The governments aren't going to do that. The medias aren't going to do that. It's up to the people of planet Earth. And there are millions of more people than there are those in the mainstream media and those in the governments. So when the people stand up and speak, they're going to have to listen. So let's all stand up and let's speak loud and clear for the freedoms that we want on this planet. And let's all enjoy the life that the great Creator has designed for each and every one of us. I'll be back Monday with more news and information. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.